Hi, everyone. I'm glad you're joining me this morning to hear God's story. Before we get to what's in front of us, let's sing our Bible words to get our bodies ready to hear God's word, our hearts ready to hear God's word, and our minds ready to hear God's word. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Let's hear the word of the Lord together. So the first thing in my basket that I have with us is my Bible. And my Bible is whose word? That's right. The Bible is God's word. And the Bible is full of stories about who God is and about his people and how we can love and serve him better. Today we are telling a story that is still in the first book of the Bible. Do you remember what the name of that book is? That's right, Genesis. We're in the book of Genesis, the first book of the Old Testament. And our story today is in chapter 12. It's these yellow words. No page. And these yellow words. So not a long story, but it's an important story. Now, I know you see what's in front of me. And it's been a while since we brought this in to our story circle to hear God's word. And I bet that some of my friends have already told their families around them what this is. I imagine that some of you said that it was sand. And you are right. But did you remember that this is the desert? I bet you did. Now, I wonder if you remember, why do we need a piece of the desert in our story circle with us? You're right. Because in the desert, God meets his people in the desert, and lots of important things happen to God's people while in the desert. So it's important for us to have a piece of the desert in our room while we explore these stories and we hear God's word. Now, I wonder, what do you remember about the desert? What do you know about it? I imagine I have a friend who used to sit right next to me last time when we had the sand, and he always told me that the desert is like the beach. And that they both have sand and they both can be hot. And that friend is right. The desert is full of sand. And during the day, the desert can be very hot. Hotter than it is here in Arkansas right now in the summer. Something else we know about the desert is at night, the desert can be really cold. And you'd wish you had a jacket and maybe we're sitting around a campfire. Now take a look at our desert. What do we see that's missing right now? I don't see a lot of plants. I don't see any water. I don't see a lot of animals. Now, while the desert has water and plants and animals, there's not very many. It can be a hard place to live. So in today's story, let's see who's going to be in the desert today. First, we have Abram. Abram and his wife Sarai and his nephew Lot. And Abram and Sarai and Lot, they were living in a town in the desert. And I imagine they enjoyed their life. They were living comfortably. And one day God called on Abram, and he had an important message for him. He said, Abram, I'm going to read what the words are in the Bible. God told him that I am going to make you into a great nation. I will bless you and your name will be great. You will be a blessing to others. Isn't that a cool thing for God to tell him? But he had another piece of news. He said, Abram, I want you to take your family and I want you to leave your home country and travel to where I tell you. Now, I wonder, what do you think Abram thought when he heard those words? I wonder how he felt when he heard him say that he had to leave his home country. I wonder how Sarai and Lot felt when Abram told him. But the cool thing is Abram said, okay. So Abram started on a journey following where God told him to go. And Sarah followed Abram as he followed God. And Lot followed them as they followed God. And God led him to the town of Canaan. Abram, stand up. Led them all the way to the land of Canaan. And when he got to Canaan, God appeared to Abram and told him and said, this land will be the land of your people one day. I'm going to give this to you. And the Bible tells me that after hearing these words, Abram built an altar. And an altar, a lot of times, was built out of rocks. And they would build it so that they could remember what had happened here. And at the altar, Abram and Sarai and Lot, they gave thanks to God for delivering them safely on their journey and for the promise that he made. And after God showed them Canaan, he led them to another place. He said, you're not going to stay here yet. This is where I want you to come. So Abram followed God like he asked him to. And Sarai followed. And Lot followed. And when they got to Bethel, is where they ended up, they built another altar. And at this altar as well, they thanked God for what he had done, for their safety and for a place to be. My Bible tells me that they stayed in Bethel for a little bit. And after some time, Bethel began to run out of food. Not just Abram and Sarai and Lot, but the whole town. And so God told them that they're going to go on one more journey right now. They are going to go to the land of Egypt. And Egypt is a place of tall pyramids. So that's why I have this piece right here to remind us of the pyramids. And they traveled all the way to Egypt. Again, I wonder, what might Abram and Sarai and Lot be talking about as they walk these roads from town to town? I wonder if they were ever scared. I wonder what they thought about when they got to their new places each time. I wonder if God told you, like he told Abram, to leave his hometown, leave his country, and move somewhere brand new. Would that be an easy thing for you to do or a hard thing to do? Well, friends, this is where we are going to leave Abram and Sarai and Lot this week, but we will see them again soon. Well, I hope that you think about this story this week and you think about what might be important about it and see what's going to happen next. Friends, love God with your whole heart this week. Bye.